My name is Arif, and I grew up in a small village surrounded by green fields, dusty roads, and people who all knew each other. Our village was simple, no big buildings, no fast cars, and no noise except the sound of birds, cows, and children playing in the evening. I was a quiet boy. While other kids ran and played, I liked to sit under trees and read books. My mother was a school teacher, and she always brought old storybooks for me. Those stories took me to far-off places I had never seen. I would read about heroes, cities, kings, magic, and adventures, and then close the book and look at the sky, dreaming. My father was a farmer. He worked in the fields every day under the hot sun. He always said, "Hard work is the only road to success." He wanted me to take care of the land like he did, but my heart was somewhere else. Something inside me wanted more. I didn't know what more meant. I just knew I had to find it. When I turned 20, I told my parents I wanted to go to the city. "City?" my father said, confused. "What will you do there?" "I don't know yet," I replied honestly. "But I want to try." My mother cried a little. She packed my small bag, put in a blanket, some food, and a small photo of our family. My father gave me a few thousand rupees and said, "Be careful, and never forget where you come from." I reached the city with no job, no friends, and nowhere to stay. The noise hurt my ears, and the tall buildings made me feel small. But I didn't go back. I found a tiny room to rent and started working at a general store. It didn't pay much, but it gave me enough for food and rent. I worked all day and wrote in a notebook at night, my thoughts, my dreams, my stories. One evening, after closing the shop, I sat outside on a bench, tired and quiet. An old man sat beside me. He looked at me and said, "You seem like a man with a story inside." I smiled and said, "I'm just a shop worker." He shook his head and replied, "Don't say that. Everyone has something special. You just need to find it." We talked that night for hours. I told him about my love for writing. He listened carefully, then said something I never forgot. "Write like no one is watching. One day, someone will read your words and feel less alone." That sentence stayed with me. From that night, I started writing seriously. I wrote a short story about a village boy who wanted to touch the stars. Every night, he climbed trees and hills, trying to catch one. In the end, he didn't get the star, but he found courage he didn't know he had. I showed it to my roommate, Ahmed. "Arif," he said, "this is really beautiful. Send it to a magazine." I laughed. "They won't publish me." But he sent it anyway. 3 weeks later, I got a letter. My story was going to be printed in a small magazine. When I saw my name in print, I felt something I had never felt before: hope. After that, I wrote every day. Some stories were accepted, some were rejected, but I never stopped. Slowly, people started to recognize my name. A few local readers wrote letters to the magazine saying my stories made them cry. One said, "Your story felt like my own life." That one sentence gave me strength. I quit the shop and started working at a newspaper as a junior writer. It didn't pay much, but I was doing what I loved. Then one day, something incredible happened. A man called me. "I'm a publisher," he said. "We've read your stories. Would you like to write a book?" I was silent. A book? Me? "Yes," I finally said. "I would love to." I worked for 8 months. I wrote every night, sometimes with tears in my eyes. The book was about a boy who left his village to find his dream. Yes, it was me. But I changed the name. When the book was printed, I couldn't believe it. I walked into a bookstore just to touch it. My name was on the cover. I felt proud, but also scared. What if people didn't like it? The book sold slowly at first. But then, something happened. A teacher from a college posted about it on social media. "This book speaks to every student who feels lost," she wrote. Soon, more people started reading it. It was shared online. Book clubs talked about it. Newspapers interviewed me. My small story had touched big hearts. One morning, I got a call from a school in my village. "Will you come and speak to our students?" the headmaster asked. When I returned home, people from the village gathered around me. My mother hugged me tightly. My father didn't say much, but his eyes were full. I started visiting schools and colleges to tell students my story. Not because I was famous, but because I knew how it felt to be lost, to feel small, to dream quietly in the dark. I told them, you don't need to be rich to dream. You just need to believe your dream matters. I also began teaching writing classes online. Students from different cities joined. I saw in their eyes the same light I once had. One day, I went back to the bench where I met the old man. He was not there. Maybe he had moved, or maybe he was gone. But I whispered, "Thank you." Years passed. I wrote 3 more books. I traveled to different countries to speak at events. My stories were translated into other languages. But I never forgot where I came from. I still write in notebooks. I still sit quietly sometimes and listen to birds. And I still believe the most powerful stories are the ones that come from the heart. One day, someone asked me, "What was your biggest success?" I smiled and said, "The day I didn't give up. That was my success." Maybe you're reading this and feeling unsure about your own life. Maybe you failed many times. Maybe no one believes in your dream. Maybe even you don't believe in it anymore. But I want to tell you something. I was a boy from a quiet village. I had no money, no guide, and no name. I only had a dream and a notebook. But I kept going. Not because I was strong. But because I had hope. You can do the same. No dream is too small. No person is too ordinary. No failure is final. Believe in yourself. And one day, you'll look back and say, "That was the moment I found my way."